Okay, folks, let's try this again. I did this, a nice long video a few minutes ago, and then realized that I hadn't hit record, right? So I spent probably about 9 minutes talking to myself and answering myself under the guise of talking to you all, and didn't capture any of it. So let's try this again. I'm going to shorten it from the 9 minutes that it was, but hopefully still get the point across. All right. So I'm guessing that the headline for this post is going to be or reference prediction, because if you know anything about using power zones to trade and things like that, you might be led to believe that certainly on a day like today, that the predictive power of the power zones here is pretty high, right? That would be wrong, right? Any trader worth his or her salt knows that prediction is on its best day just a fool's errand in the markets, right? You can get a sense of direction and take your best, most educated and informed guess, but the moment that you start to feel like there's any certainty to your predictions, you're highly likely to be on a path to a pretty substantial loss and or losses, right? But that said, there are things that you can do and use to your benefit to help you kind of figure out where to place trades and take them off and all that good stuff, right? And that's what I designed the power zones to be. I have been using these zones since I came up with mine. There are other people have their own power zones, but I came up with mine around 2011, and for lack of a better phrase, I perfected them around 2013, the back half of 2013, and I've been using them ever since. And even now, they're actually much more useful now because I am a semi-retired trade. No, that's the wrong phrase. I have a full-time side hustle. I guess that's what you would call it. I run a nonprofit that is very active, and that I get a lot of satisfaction from. So I don't sit and watch the market all day anymore as I used to. But because I have the power zones and I have my setups, kind of down, I don't have to, right? Like I don't have to spend an inordinate amount of time watching the markets each day. When I open up and take a look at the charts, I have a pretty good sense based on prices behavior, and certainly prices behavior relative to the power zones, which, by the way, if you know anything about them, they are in place before the market opens each morning, or the cash market opens each morning. And by looking at the power zones and looking at how price is and has traded relative to the power zones, I have a pretty good sense of not necessarily any kind of prediction about what the day is going to bring, but in that moment, I have a pretty good sense of directionality for the market, and I can usually do a pretty good job of picking up a few ticks, certainly enough to satisfy my needs, my daily needs, and then be on my way to other tasks associated with my full-time side hustle. So I just decided, kind of randomly to do this video today, in part because it's such a pure example of how useful the power zones can be. And I should have added, because I've been using these so long, I've seen, the markets head into kind of a precipitous fall and turn on a dime at the low power zone, or go screaming higher and turn on a dime inside the high power zone. And the balance zone tends to be even more powerful than the two of them put together, right? So I have seen these zones work really, really well and deliver really, really well for anyone who's willing to use them in a really disciplined way. But at any rate, so this is last Friday, right? Friday we had a kind of a half day here, and this is the open yesterday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. And down we drop, right around the top of the low power zone, and then we proceeded to kind of sell off, right? Meandered a bit here, rallied back to the underside of the low power zone and failed, right? And then proceeded to trade kind of sideways here, and then had this nice spike coming into 9:30, the U.S. cash market at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, spiked into this level here. But if you'll notice, we spiked to the underside of the low power zone again, but could not make it up to this previous high right here of the action, right? So lower high, right? I should say lower low first, although this is from overnight action, but still lower low, right? Lower high, right? You don't know that that's a high yet, but lower high. And if you're looking at a lower time frame, right, then it probably put in some kind of chart pattern here into that high, right, and gave you a signal to take to potentially take it short, right? It certainly did me, and I was gone before it even got back down here, right? Like I didn't need it, and I had a lot to do today and all that good stuff, so I wanted to make sure I was in and out efficiently without taking too much time and dollar risk, right? And as you can see, we rolled on and proceeded to drop significantly lower, closing down pretty substantially on the day, right? So what's the point? The good thing and the comfort here was having these zones, right, to trade against, right? That's the essence of it, right? I created them. I have traded with them long enough to have really good confidence in how they perform, and they have served me well, right? So at any rate, I anticipate doing more of these videos in the coming days. I actually have been giving some thought to doing another challenge in December. I haven't done one in quite some time. And I certainly haven't done one with my current circumstances, i.e. Kind of working most of the day for doing something other than watching the market all day. So it would be interesting to me to see what my performance could look like. But we'll see. If I do that, I will, of course, record it and probably attach some lessons and all that good stuff, and kind of go from there. All right. So if you enjoyed and or learned anything, you can also learn more about the power zones on my website, and I think there's also a public videos on my YouTube channel, I think, if I remember correctly. you can learn a little bit more about how they work and all that good stuff. But if you enjoyed that, please do hit the thumbs up button, or what do people say? Smash the thumbs up button. Yeah, that sounds crazy to me. But hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't, and we will go from there. That's it. Any questions, feel free. Barring that, we'll see you next time. Take care.